Good morning, Mark Sutton with HurricaneTrack.com here. I want to talk about Harvey, and it's about 2 o'clock in the morning Central Time, 3 o'clock Eastern. I am in southern Alabama on my way to Texas, and this is the reason why. The remnants of Harvey about to make a comeback, I think in a big way, almost 100% chance now, pretty much. These two paragraphs that we see outline basically that development is imminent, it's happening, it's going to be a slow process, but once it gets going, the possibility of heavy rainfall over a prolonged period of time from northeastern Mexico up through Texas into southwestern Louisiana, and even the possibility of up to hurricane force winds and of course storm surge, all in relation to what's happening with the remnants of Harvey. And in the meantime, the other disturbance over here, 92L, really not much of an issue. I'll spend a little bit of time on it, but this is what the different graphics look like for the formation and eventual track area. Here is what will be, it's still Harvey, okay? It's hard to explain that. It didn't really die completely. It just lost its essence over here, so to speak, and now it's going to come back, and it looks like it has the possibility of being fairly strong and having a big impact on people. So we need to watch this closely for this region right through here especially. And then 92L, if it develops, it'll be off the southeast coast. Could be a pretty good rainmaker for parts of Florida. Squally weather overall, just not very pleasant, but at least it's not something well developed and a lot of wind or any other issues to worry about. Looking at the satellite picture of the western Atlantic these early morning hours, this is our system down here that we're watching the closest here. The remnants of Harvey, upper level winds starting to turn more favorable here with this clockwise flow that you can clearly see there, and the low level turning starting to become more evident here. And by the way, this is 92L sort of tangled up in this region, and as you'll see on the modeling in just a minute, I'm not expecting too much to come from that over time. Even on this picture, this image, you can see this upper level low still spinning up here, and that's imparting just a little bit of upper level wind shear across this system, and we can see that on the wind shear graphic here. Right there is the upper level low pressure area, and it's interesting because anticyclonic flow starting to develop and expand right over the southeast bay of Campeche. So while it's not very favorable up here, a little bit farther to the south, it is, and this is going to grow more favorable across this region, expanding this umbrella, if you will, that the storm system can expand into and grow into. It's kind of like having big shoes and you say, hey, you'll grow into those shoes. Well, that's what's going to happen, it looks like, with Harvey. And if we look at the vorticity signature, a lot of the energy focused right down there just off the Yucatan. It's coming together, it's trying to get there, and we're going to watch this shape change. Unfortunately, they're going to put a tropical storm symbol on it. Once it becomes a storm again, or a depression, there'll be an L. But right now it looks like a little bit of an egg, and as it becomes more intense, you'll see that the vorticity will focus around a common center here, and it'll be higher up on this scale, meaning that there's more spin and more energy being bundled around that low pressure center, that warm core, and then you'll see as this evolves, this whole mess will start moving eventually, very slowly. It's going to take a few days, and then come up here towards the Texas coast, it does look like. So with all that being said, let's visit the models. This is the GFS, the 0Z run, and I want you to pay attention right down here. That's, you can see pretty obviously where it is. It takes until about hour 48, and then it really starts to ramp up, and then it intensifies pretty quickly again right before landfall there, somewhere along the central Texas coast, north of Corpus Christi, maybe Matagorda Bay. I hope I know my geography right. It's pretty late. So somewhere well south of Houston and Galveston, but you see that vorticity, that energy, and that's what we're looking at. This is energy in the atmosphere up here. Watch as it ends. In fact, let's just go to the last frame of this. We'll stop it here. So this ends up at the end of the 5-day time frame in southwest Louisiana. But if we back it up here to about hour number 96, this is very worrisome as it sits very close to Houston, and that onshore flow really bringing in at the 5,000 foot level here, just a constant moisture fetch. And this is setting up to be a potential massive flood event in an area too that absolutely cannot afford that right now. The ground is saturated. You don't need me to tell you this. If you live in the area, you know all about it. So this is going to be a potential problem. And then we need to see what happens. I ran this out to 5 days at the 6, 7, and 8-day time frame. What happens farther to the east? All right, so this is a changing situation. It's not going to be easy, and this has the potential to be a major, major flood event. And we have to see, superimposed on top of that, do we have, I'm going to change this to blue, do we have on top of that a hurricane event for portions of the Texas coast? You know, where you have hurricane conditions, storm surge of several feet that will be destructive in and of itself, and then on top of that, this potential of very, very heavy rainfall over a prolonged period of time. And like I said, 92L tries to develop here just a little bit off the Florida coast, but the pattern is such that it would basically follow a track on out to sea, I do believe. But beforehand, again, let me just back this, hopefully this is still going. Let me back this up just a little bit more, get my pointer back, and I'll show you over Florida. You know, really, it's just until about the 3-day time frame between now and the next 72 hours, it could be kind of rainy here along the peninsula. So just keep that in mind, but nothing severe, and certainly not developing into a tropical cyclone, it would appear, at least at this point. Now, the benefit of recording this at 3:15 Eastern time, and continuing on here, is we get the Euro, and the European model. At least we'll say this, even though it's bad news, at least we have agreement here, so we can try to focus on being prepared. This is the initial condition, and again, this is from Levi Cowan's website, tropicaltidbits.com. I will always credit that young man, his genius to put this together. He may think it's easy. I don't know, maybe he doesn't, but I'm very impressed with it, so I want to make sure I give credit where it's due. So this is the initial condition, and what I want you to focus on right down here, in this little ball of energy right here, and we're going to go through the next couple of days as well, the next 5 days. All right, so put this into motion. This is valid on Wednesday night. Let's see if we can get this to work. Come on. Try again. So this is Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night. Landfall in a similar area, maybe near Corpus Christi. We'll focus on that part later. All right, I know people want to know exactly right now, but just think of a large, dangerous weather system coming at you. Don't worry about the center so much just yet. And then as we go on out in time, that's 72 hours. This is 96 hours, 120 hours, and it just kind of sits there. All right, so similar to the GFS, not exactly, but at least we're not having tremendous spread, where the European is showing Harvey really, really far away, way inland over Texas or whatever. There's enough confidence now is what I'm getting at, and I'm tired, forgive me. This looks like it's going to happen. Now, how much it happens remains to be seen. I want to speculate for a second because this is important based on my instincts and stuff I've seen in the past, and sort of present an alternate scenario. So this is the initial condition. I like this map just so I can show you a little bit better. What if, instead of coming up like this and then meandering around and ending up over here, what if Harvey comes up like this and instead comes in straight to Louisiana? That is something, or, honestly, it could come over in Houston, right across Galveston. We need to remember that this is not gospel, this particular run of the model. Is it possible it could come up and then get steered east along the Gulf Coast? Maybe. So because it's moving so slow, my point is it's dangerous because a lot can happen. You remember how slow Isaac was in 2012? You remember Debbie was fairly slow moving earlier in 2012? These slow moving ones can be the biggest pains in the butt, and they linger and they cause problems. Beach erosion, the flooding rain, all those hazards just hang around and hang around. So you're going to have to bear with the Hurricane Center. You're going to have to bear with me, all of us that are in this together, because this is not going to be easy. A pinpoint forecast does not look possible with this system. So keep that in mind. There could be a lot of change. All right? So I'm going to get some sleep. I'm going to try to get about 7 hours. I'm going to get up. I'm going to do another video, and then I'm going to go back live again. I was streaming all the way from North Carolina to here. Had a great audience watching on YouTube. People interested. They want to know what's going on. I'm able to update as I drive. They're chatting with each other. It's just phenomenal. I will turn the stream back on at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube. So subscribe and follow along. And I'll be heading towards Texas. And we're just going to have to see where I end up. I don't know yet. I'm going to be ping-ponged around just like you are, trying to figure out where this is going to impact the most. So we'll all be in it together, that's for sure. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Mark Sudduth, safely in southern Alabama and Atmore. And I'm going to get some sleep for HurricaneTrack.com. Like I said, I'm Mark Sudduth, and I'll talk to you later on during the day on Wednesday.